recording has started.
Open your heart, open your soul, 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 open your heart. Open your soul, open your heart, 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 open your soul. Jayarade. Open your heart, open your soul, open your heart, open your soul, open your heart, open your soul. Jayarade. Open your heart, open your soul, open your heart, open your soul, open your heart, open your soul, Jayarade. Open your heart, open your soul, open your heart. Open your soul, open your heart, open your soul,
Aloha. Good evening. This is Andrew Aloha live out of Flagstaff, Arizona for Spiritual Image Productions on free conference call and YouTube, establishing and maintaining right relationships through human values. Aloha and welcome to tonight's Andrew Aloha Live. Tonight we're talking with Dr. Ken J Johnston Sr. all the way. Now you're all the way out of New Mexico, is that correct, Dr. Ken?
Yes, it is, but actually it's Ken R. Johnston, just a typo.
Oh, really? I apologize because I don't know how that happened, but okay. I thought I seen him. Now you are a doctor, right?
You got it correct a little further down in the text there, so that's no problem.
Okay. Anyhow, tonight we're going to be talking to him about his book, Ken's Moon, an autobiography. And so, just to let you know, hang on a second, talking about Doctor. Yeah, and you're right. And it's funny because down here, I in the bio part, I have it correct. It's R. Ken, right?
That is correct.
I don't know how I got a J out of that, but anyhow, Dr. R. Ken Johnston Sr., one of 4 civilian astronaut consultant pilots, excuse me, from the Apollo Moon program, is a retired aerospace engineer, U.S. Marine, and NASA whistleblower, as people call him. His principal claim to fame is that he refused to destroy a nearly complete collection of 8x10 glossy photo prints from the Apollo program, photos not available from NASA. The story of Ken Johnston's archive of historic NASA photos and his decision to go public with the evidence of the manipulation of those photos or images from the Apollo moon missions is the stuff of legend. Former National Aeronautics and Space Administration Data and Photo Control Department Manager Ken Johnston, Dr. Ken Johnston, who worked for Space Agency's Lunar Receiving Laboratory during the Apollo missions, was actually fired for telling the truth. Johnston, now was that true, Dr. Johnston?
Well, yeah, I didn't write that myself, so sometimes they exaggerate a little bit. I was the director of the Data and Photo Control Department at the Lunar Receiving Laboratory, and of course I wasn't in charge of all of the photographic stuff like that, but then I had access to the originals taken directly from the original negatives and the positive transparencies that we had there.
Got it.
It did pretty good.
Okay. So, and Dr. Johnston asserts that NASA knows astronauts discovered ancient alien cities and the remains of the amazingly advanced machinery on the moon, some of which which can manipulate gravity. He says the agency ordered a cover-up and forced him to participate in it. Over the past 40 years, other scientists, engineers, and technicians have accused NASA of cover-ups and obscuring data, such as hiding information from anonymous space objects and lying about the discovery of the artifacts on the surface of the moon and Mars, to denying the evidence of life reported back by the Viking lander during the mid-1970s. If you want more information on Dr. Ken Johnston, you can go to and his book. Actually, you can go to. Now, you had some websites. I don't know. I'm assuming you let them go because they seem to be obsolete. Is that correct, Dr. Ken?
Yeah, you just call me Ken. It's fine.
Okay, Ken.
Yeah, if they go to let's see, I guess the best would be the KenJohnstonMedia.net.
Yeah.
And that way they get directly into my site.
Well, I went there. I believe I went there too, and there was nothing there. It was obsolete as well. Well, anyhow, either way, if you want a copy of his book, you can go to Amazon.com, which is was able to successfully find him there, his book there, if you want to purchase it and go from there. So, and we're going to come back and talk to Dr. Johnston or Ken here in a few minutes. I just want to give a big aloha to all of our underwriters that help make this show happen from week to week, month to month, year to year, beginning with the 90-Day Ascension Journey. Excuse me, at www.90dayascensionjourney.com. When you sign up for the 90-Day Ascension Journey, you will be facilitated with defining and redefining your soul true life purpose. You will be assisted with finding out what ascension means to you. On this journey, you will be provided with tools, techniques, and assistance to empower you to connect and reconnect with yourself, your emotions and feelings, your mind, body, excuse me, and spirit. Through a universal soul-centered process, you will be going through a lifelong transformation that will allow you to move forward with your endeavors and never look back if you dare. And then we also have a novite, which is a French word, A-N-O-V-I-T-E, at www.spiritualimageproductions.novite.com. With over 25,000 scientific papers published on colostrum, a 90-day guarantee, and winner of the Healthy Living People's Choice Award twice over, and Novite focuses on helping people with weight loss, anti-aging, heart disease, diabetes, depression, high blood pressure, asthma, allergies, rheumatoid arthritis, inflammation, gout, lupus, fibromyalgia, Crohn's disease, cancer, ulcers, the poliovirus, chronic infections, digestive disorders, Alzheimer's disease, autoimmune disease, thymus gland, mental clarity, maintenance and protection of the immune system, synthesis and repair of the RNA and DNA, and much, much more. And then finally, we do have Maha Dakini at Lorraine at www.mahadakini.com. Maha Dakini Lorraine's life has been a personal journey exploring sexuality and spirituality for over 20 years. She's a certified tantric counselor and tantric healer and a certified mind and sound teacher. Maha Dakini Lorraine is also a graduate of Margot Non-Zero Skydance and Tantric Facilitator Training Program, as well as a current member of the American Association of Sex Educators, Counselors, and Therapists Club, as well as a charter member of the Association of Sexual Energy Professionals. She regularly attends trainings and conferences to keep her with the latest research and information on sexual education. And again, now let's go like this, Dr. Ken or Ken. If people want to get a hold of you to present at a conference or something like that, or find out more information, do you have an email address that they can tap into, that they can connect with you at, so they can ask you questions or something like that?
Well, it's a little bit. Don't get overwhelmed. Generally, I take emails from my regular email address. That'd be Mars1 Astronaut, all spelled out, MARSONEASTRONAUT @gmail.com. And of course, where I came up with that is I was one of the nearly finalists for the Mars One program to send people to Mars one way. This was back in 2014. And then they went from 202,586 people volunteering to go one way and dropped that down to 1,000. And I'm still in the running, and they sent me over to Switzerland and Poland and just about all over the world, giving promotions for the program. Then they got down to the final 100, and then all of a sudden my name was dropped from the list. and my wife was glad to hear that I wasn't going to be going.
Right.
Anyway, they found out that what they did is they originally said from the ages of 18 to 80 were qualified to go colonize Mars. And at the time I was only 70, and when they finally dropped me off, we went and looked at the list of those that made the final 100, and none of them were over 60 years old.
Really?
So I guess they just enjoyed using my past background as being some type of advertisement or something. It happens, no problem. And I guess I'll probably make it to Mars before they do, the way things are going right now.
Right.
So if I go to mars1astronaut@gmail.com.
Got it. So let's go like this, Ken. Why don't we just get an overview, and we got plenty of time. Just kind of give it a bio of who Ken is. Where were you born? Where you grow up at, and what it was like. And did you always think about going to Mars or going to the moon or space? You know, that type of thing. So wherever you want to start, go ahead.
Well, of course, it's all in the Ken's Moon, the book that I wrote, which is an autobiography, and gets into the secret space program, if you will, the back half of the book.
Got it.
But in reality, I was born in Fort Sam Houston, San Antonio, Texas, back in 1942, which makes me just have my 75th birthday. And since I know I'm going to live to almost, well, probably 200, I'm shooting for 181st.
Right.
So my father was a captain in the Army Air Corps, a pilot during World War II, lost his life in World War II. So there were three of us, the Johnston boys. There was Dr. A.R. Johnston, who's passed away. He's my oldest brother. And my the middle brother, James Charles Jimmy Johnston. And he was killed in a school hayride accident at the age of 14.
Wow.
So here I wound up the baby of the family and went off to military school at the West Point of the Southwest, called the Oklahoma Military Academy, which I graduated from high school and junior college. And my best friend came in the dorm one night. He says, this was Jack Lancaster. This is a terrible thing. So many of the people I've known through my life are no longer with us in this part of our lives. Anyway, he says, Ken, I joined the Marine Corps. Pardon my French here, but I said, the hell you have. So I go down the next day and I lived in the Marine Corps. We went from captains in advanced ROTC to Marine Corps privates at, let's see, in Marine Corps Recruit Depot in San Diego, California. So I found out 2 weeks later if we'd have gone into any of the other branches of the service, the Army, Navy, Air Force, we could have gone in as E3, Lance Corporals or something. But Marines had a couple of good ones. We came out of there with meritorious honors from boot camp and got promoted there. And I got picked up on aviation electronics technicians in school in Memphis, Tennessee. Jack and I came out on top of our class. He decided to stay in the enlisted. I went off to officer pilot training at Pensacola. That's where I learned to fly. Put in my full time. This was during 1962 through 66, active duty, and then in reserve for 2 more years, a total of 6 years of service in the Marine Corps. After we got out of the Marine Corps, I got out in 1966. My brother, Dr. A.R. Johnston, was a direct NASA employee and in charge of the also the Apollo lunar surface. That's our information catalog. Some of this stuff this we're talking about way back when, where we had the big giant vacuum chambers where we were going to be testing the command module and the lunar module. So he said, get yourself down here to Houston because they're looking for people that have past background as pilots and electronics and all that. I walked in the door and I guess I had everything that they were looking for. I had offers from 5 of the top aerospace companies.
Wow.
Since I wanted to be a part of the and talk about a difference in salaries when you talk about engineers during the Apollo and being an enlisted or an officer in the military. There's just no difference in the salaries. So I applied to them. I got fantastic offers, and I chose to go with the Grumman Aerospace Corporation that built the lunar module. So I put in over my career with Grumman. I put in a little over 3,000 hours testing the lunar module as a substitute for the regular NASA astronauts, and then as that, when one of the astronauts would come into the vacuum chambers to work out with us and check out how the spacecraft flew, we helped in the training for the regular NASA astronauts. So as time went on, then we landed on the moon, and then Grumman laid off 30,000 employees nationwide and said, we're not going on R&D research to the moon. We're going on routine flights. So they laid us all off. I went to the Lunar Receiving Laboratory, where I became the director of the Data and Photo Control Department. And my job was to maintain and archive sets of all the films and pictures that were made during each one of the missions, and also to produce the sample information catalogs that the scientists were doing the preliminary sample testings of the moon rocks, dirt samples, things that the astronauts brought back. This went on until Apollo 15, and then they laid us all off again. This was quite a thing that was very common during those days of Apollo. They just dropped us off. And fortunately, though, I had the backgrounds to go on over to ILC to help do the testing of the spacesuits for the new space shuttle as well as Skylab. And just on and on the story goes. So what happened when they shut down the quarantine of the astronauts at the Lunar Receiving Laboratory? What would happen? We'd have scientists from all over the world come pick up samples of moon rocks and things, and they wanted to have photographs taken from orbit, what the surface of the moon looked like, where their samples came from, as well as pictures taken by the astronauts that before they picked the rocks or samples up from the lunar surface. So I maintained an archive of 5 complete sets in filing cabinets, at least 6 or 7 filing cabinets. And by doing that, I was able, when they would come in, I could give them the photographs and things they need immediately. Then one afternoon, my supervisor, we were contractors. He came in and says, came down from up high, says, they want you to get rid of all the extra sets and just keep 1 set. Well, I had 5 sets I'd been maintaining. And I kind of argued. He says, no, I don't care. Just get rid of them. We only want to keep 1 set. Put them in the Nipsey dumpster, just get rid of them. And I argued. I said, well, we've got universities. We've paid our taxes. It belongs to the people of America. They should have them. He got a little angry with me. He said, I don't care what you do. Just get rid of all but 1 set. And I took that to their current belongs to do what I wanted to with them. I took one. I put 3 sets. We dumped in the dumpster. 1 set I sent to my alma mater, Oklahoma City University, and then I kept 1 as the controller. But in addition, each time I would order pictures and things that were needed, I would order an extra set that I would maintain, for myself to have a master set. And then as things went by, then we all got laid off there. I had to make a decision what to do with the brains that I saved there. So, as my mother had always said, if there's anything that seems of some value to you, be sure and save it, because someday it may be of value to other people. Right. And I did do that. And some 35 years later, or 37 years later, I ran into a man by the name of Richard Hoagland, and he was putting a conference on at Seattle, Washington. And I thought, wow, I'm off tonight. Let me go. By the way, I went to work for the Boeing company as a 737 flight instructor. And that was my evening off where he had this big program going. And I typed up a little introduction note that, said who I was and what I had saved and what I had. And I went over to the conference building, and I walked up to the desk, and I handed the young lady, I said, I'd like for Mr. Hoagland to get my letter of introduction. She looked at it. She starts to look. Her eyes get big. She looks up at me. She said, you're who we've been looking for. And I think, uh-oh, I am in trouble. So she says, stay right where you are. She went and got Mr. Hoagland. He came up, looked at it, read it. He looked at me and says, come on in. So I didn't have to pay for the conference. It's kind of nice. And he came over with four of his team members, I presume, and they started taking a look at some of the original 8x10s and positive transparencies and other things that I had. And they were looking and saying, oh my God, look at this picture. We couldn't even see this stuff on the moon before, and you can see it on the originals. So my archive became a control for people around the world that became anomaly hunters, so to speak. And they would get in touch with me and say, well, how about NASA photo AS14 S99-7, which one of was on the backside of the moon and crater Tsiolkovsky, which actually had a whole base right in the bottom of that crater. That when you're looking at it from the real negatives and pictures, it was obvious. And that's just one of the things. And I hadn't thought about all of that stuff. I kept them in a safe, kept them all safe for a long time until we started going over these things. We had that's the other thing that happens, and it happens to anybody who's come. Well, by the way, you read it off that term of whistleblower. I've never liked that term. It's certainly not anything that I said, but I guess people react to whistleblower as someone who's got some truth or something they're trying to put out to the world, and that's what Mother always said. If you got it, be sure you say this. So there's these people who go out after people who come forward with information. Even Buzz Aldrin's out there now, and he's been talking about the craft stuff that followed him all the way to the moon. That he says, what else can you call it other than an unidentified flying object?
Right.
And then they try to discredit the individual. They don't go after what the person is saying. And like the man by the name of James Oberg, whom actually used to be a friend of mine when I worked at NASA. But once it came out when Hoagland and them listed me in their book about the archive and all that, he went after me like a smoking gun himself.
Wow.
And he was trying to discredit me, everything. Fortunately, every time he says, oh, he didn't do this, he wasn't that, blah, 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 we just post documents, records, information that I kept all these years, and that shoots it all down. And the word got back to me that he was told to back off and leave me alone because I was getting way too much publicity with him trying to attack me. And that worked for a while, but his ego is so huge. He's as big as him. He's 6'6", I believe.
Wow.
Nearly 300 pounds. He's a huge human being.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, that kind of gets you up to where I am, and it came to the point where we were told, like Hoagland always saying that there are people out there that have information, they need to come forward with it. And after we left or retired from Boeing, we moved to Albuquerque, New Mexico, and decided, we need to publish this out to the whole world. And I got with some friends, Brett Shepard and Karen Patrick, and we were able to put together my first book, and that was Ken's Moon, the smoking gun that revealed NASA's dark mission. So, anyway, that kind of brings you up to date where we're at now. We're working on 2 more books. One of them with Dr. Sasha Lesson, where he did a hypnotic regression on me back to find out some of these things that have been lurking around in my mind in past lives and what have you. And as I understand, you're pretty much an expert in that field as well. So that may be coming out to the public.
Nice, soon. Yeah. And when you come out with that book, you can touch base with me, and we'll see about bringing you for another interview for that book. Yeah.
Okay, sounds fair.
Now, there's a couple of questions. First of all, now the whistleblower thing, I went and did some research and just kind of put everything together, and that's what was listed on in the reviews or in the bios of some of these other places that you've done interviews at and so forth. And I actually thought about it. I thought, I don't know if he wants to be called a whistleblower, but I'm going to throw it in there anyhow because it's part of the bio. So that's the only reason it ended up in there. And then some of the other stuff, like I said, I just piecemealed everything together and tried to arrange it so it wouldn't sound so negative. I think some of it sounded a little bit negative, so I just kind of worked with it. Now, you said your father was in the military as well. Is that correct?
That's correct. He was a pilot back in those days. It was called the Army Air Corps, which later became the United States Air Force.
Yeah.
So he was one of the guys that had to go fly in the bombers over Germany and all that. So
yeah, I remember that.
That probably, in my life, would have probably been a whole lot different if my dad had lived, or it may not have, to be honest, because the only way I could relate to my dad is that the pictures I had of him was in his officer's uniforms, etc. Because I was 3 months old when he died.
So, oh wow! I didn't know that.
I always wanted all my life if he ever really knew me. And when his brother, my Uncle Charles, was getting nearly 80 years old, he sent me a package of pictures. He said, I thought you might want to have these. And lo and behold, there was a picture of my mother and my father. My dad was holding me in his arms. And this, within the last 15 years. And it just brought tears to my eyes. I was almost crying because I knew there it was. My dad really knew me before he died.
Wow.
That was awesome.
Amazing. So now, does he have short blonde hair in that picture?
One more time, please. It's a little bit echoey.
Does your dad have short blonde hair in that picture?
No. Actually, my dad took from the French side of the Johnston clan, and he had more of an olive texture skin and dark hair. My brother A.R. looked just almost exactly like my dad, and Jimmy was kind of a cross between both mom and dad. And here I'm the baby of the family, and I took after the Davis white side of the family, and so I'm the one with the blonde hair.
Got it. So
well, it used to be blonde. Now it's all gray, white, and falling out.
Right. I hear you. So you were terminated twice, or you were laid off. So then I'm assuming, okay, you were laid off twice over from two different companies because of they were shifting gears. Now, did you actually go to the moon yourself, or you didn't?
Oh no, I certainly did not go to the moon myself. The moon, you asked if it was my goal. My goal had always been Mars. The moon was just a stepping stone, and to be a part of the team nationwide that put together. And I love it when some of these brilliant people say, "Oh, you never went to the moon," blah blah blah. It's all a big fake. Well, I say, okay, well, you do know about the Hubble telescope. Oh yeah. I said, and you've seen the pictures that it takes from the moon. Oh yeah. I said, well, take a look at the pictures from Hubble at the landing sites, and you'll see that the descent stage of the lunar module are still sitting at the locations. There are tracks all over the moon in that area. I said, now how did they get there if we didn't go to the moon? Right. There's always a silence, and they stop and they go, well, I have to think about it. I said, well, be careful while you're thinking, because you'll probably fall off the flat earth.
Right.
You know, Buzz Aldrin got frustrated with one of them. He kept saying, you lied, you didn't go, blah, blah, and et cetera, and that. And finally, Buzz Aldrin turned around and slugged the guy and knocked him out. And I can understand that with some of the attacks I've had verbally.
Wow.
It's tough. It's tough.
So you put all these, now that conference where Richard Hoagland, that name sounds familiar. I don't know who that is, but that name sounds familiar. That conference that you went to, where was that at and when?
That was in Seattle, Washington, and that was about 1985.
Got it. Yep. So you said you just wanted to attend this conference because of your interest, and then all of a sudden you ended up becoming a part of the conference. Is that what I hear you saying?
Well, that's pretty much true. There was a group of us at Boeing. Boeing. I got to get mixed up too many companies here. Yeah, the Boeing company that we jokingly called ourselves the Majestic 12 because there were a bunch of us, and we were all interested in things coming out from sources of alien contact, stuff Mars, etc. And anytime back in those days, we didn't have cell phones, we didn't have internet, so we could do things. We would make copies of any material, and we'd send it into the envelopes, intermail Boeing, so we could keep up with it. And that's how Mr. Joe Rosario, a dear friend of mine, retired. He said, Richard C. Hoagland, the guy who talked about the face on Mars. That was his main book. But he said he's in town, so you ought to go take your book and get it autographed. So that's usually what I like to do. I like to know who the authors are, and then maybe get their autograph on the books that I keep in my archive. Got it.
So you're saying that you had a book by somebody else that was presenting at the conference, and you wanted to go and get an autograph from this person of your book. Is that what I hear you saying?
Basically, that's right. I had bought the book from a local bookstore, and so whenever I went to the conference that he was holding, that gave me an opportunity to meet him, et cetera, and have him autograph. Which, interesting enough, his first autograph in the first volume of his book, got to think how he goes, you are the, anyway, basically, yeah. Now, let me tell something to you right now in the audience. You know, people who go in their cars and they use their cell phones, and they text messages. They are killing more people than drunks are out driving. My wife and I were rear-ended on April the 6th, and the whiplash has affected my short-term memory. So as I'm going along, sometimes I'll freeze up, and somebody, I'll have to say, okay, what were we just talking about? You tell me, and then I can reboot and keep going. I'll get the results of the final MRIs and everything else tomorrow, Monday, at the Veterans Hospital to tell me what kind of damage was done to that part of my brain. And it's a real frustrating thing. So if I have to ask, okay, where was I? Please bear with me. It's thanks to people texting while they're driving.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Started on that.
I hear you. So you're saying April of this year you were in an accident because somebody was texting. Is that what I hear you saying?
That is correct. The young lady, we came to a T intersection where the main flow of a little town called Los Lunas, New Mexico, and my wife, and God bless her, we looked at the T intersection. They were coming across the bridge of the Rio Grande River, and we stopped because this was like at 11:05 a.m. and people heading out for lunch. And so she put the pickup we're driving into park. She didn't leave it in idle or anything else, put it in park. Then all of a sudden, wham, we were hit from the rear. And, oh man, first thing I made sure is that my wife was okay. She said, I think so. So I got out and went back, and there's this car, the woman backed up about 15 feet and there's fluids running out of it. And she gets out. I said, are you okay? She says, yes. And then she starts to light up a cigarette.
What?
And I told her, I told her, you're going to blow us up. So she stopped.
Right.
You know, we thought we were okay. We went to an emergency. They did some preliminary. They put us with a physical therapist who didn't do us much good at all. And then finally went to the regular doctors and things. It winds up that my wife's back, her L4 and L5 vertebrae were separated and twisted slightly.
Oh, wow.
And so we've been undergoing therapy. I had damage done to the right side coming down my neck from the whiplash. And it's been quite a challenge to try to get back to where we were, because I had one interview going from a doctor's aide says, oh, well, you know, memory loss of memory things is very common for people your age. And I go, wait a minute, for maybe the average person. But I'm the guy who travels all over the world. I give lectures, I give talks, I help promote at universities. I'm not the average person that sits in front of the TV and smokes all day long. And so I got a little ticked off at him. But what is
Right.
frustrating, you know, that people out there can kill you because they won't put the damn telephones down.
Right. No, I can't remember. A few months ago, I talked to somebody, and he said that their wife got killed because they somehow the cell phone fell down onto somewhere in the car, and they reached down to grab it, and before you know it, she was dead because she had crashed into somebody or something. So, you know.
Yep, you know,
like that.
before, the new generation doesn't understand all those old folks. You know, we may have had a telephone when I was a kid, and we had one phone in the kitchen. It was hanging on the wall that had a crank on it. We'd crank it, and the operator in her own little building would say, "Yeah, what y'all need?"
Right.
They would just automatically hook us up.
Nice.
So I grew up with that era. But then today, now they think if that cell phone rings, and look, you've got to answer that immediately.
Right.
The world is not going to stop spinning if they don't answer that phone until it's safe. I hope they learn that from me.
So Ken, we have a guest on the phone. I don't know if she wants to ask a question, but I want to put it out there. Judy, are you? Did you want to ask a question of Ken? Okay.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I didn't quite get all that.
No, we have a
Go ahead.
We have a caller on the line, and I just wanted to know if she wanted to ask a question. If not, that's okay. So
fine for me. I'm wide open.
Right.
I'll tell everybody: if you always stick to the truth and tell the truth, you don't have to try to figure out what lie you told to who. So anything you ask me, it's going to be the straight truth.
Right. So I tell you what. So what prompted you to write the book, Ken?
Well, actually, it all started in 1995, 96, 97. I retired from the Boeing company in January the 1st, 98, and then we moved here to the the Albuquerque, New Mexico area in which Mr. Richard Hoagland has gone. And he had gone public with so much of the statements and records and pictures and documents that I've had that I was getting blamed for trying to tell the truth to everybody. So we decided that, I might as well just go ahead and put it all out there. And that way I don't have to keep putting up with people attacking me here and there. So that became the idea. And the best way to go would be give a little autobiography, the story of my life up to the point, and then get into what we had accomplished during the Apollo program and what kind of an archive data, and just stand ready to answer questions when the new millennia people that still think we're falling off the flat earth will try to straighten them out the best we
can. No, go ahead.
Oh, I was waiting for the question.
Oh, no. Judy didn't have a question for us, but no, I was just responding to what you were saying about these people. Go ahead. So
sounds like you need a glass of water like I do.
Well, what it is, it's really cloudy. It was really overcast today here in Flagstaff, and it seems to me that when it's really cloudy around here, and especially when it rains, my sinuses really go like go crazy. So that's what's happening.
I understand that.
So go ahead.
Go ahead.
So let me ask you this again. We were talking about 1995. You were talking to these people, and then that's when you decided to write your book. Is that what I hear you saying?
Not quite. That was when 95 was when I met Mr. Richard C. Hoagland, and that's where he started in the revisions to his book, The Face on Mars. And we talked originally about being laid off and things. Let's go back a little bit in history. When we landed on the moon, Grumman had to lay off 30,000 employees nationwide because we were no longer going on research to the moon. We were going on routine flights to the moon. So then those of us, each one of these government contracts lasted for only 3 years. So it was very common, you would get what they call a RIF, all right, reduction in force. So if you find yourself without a job, you go to another company, and if it takes you too long, you wind up spending a lot of the money you put in your bank to tide you over. So when end result is after 20, 30 years, I should say 20 years, these companies at NASA and the government being laid off every 3 or 4 years and having to go to a new company and pick up where the contracts ended up. You wind up without much of a retirement. And fortunately, that's when I decided to get out of the aerospace industry and go to work for the Down to Earth, one of the finest companies in the world. That's the Boeing company that builds most of the airlines, aircraft that you fly in, the 737s, 747s, 767s, and all of those. So that was the decision we made. Okay, 95 was just getting acquainted with Mr. Hoagland and his books coming out. Then when we moved here to Albuquerque, New Mexico in 98, things were rolled about the same until his newest books came out. I had been working with NASA and JPL as one of their solar systems ambassadors, in which, we didn't get paid anything, but we would go to schools, universities, organizations, clubs, and things, and give little talks about what we've accomplished in space and where we're going and what the next step is with Skylab or Space Shuttle or, landing unmanned craft on Mars, etc. And here we're doing fine. And then as soon as the newest book came out, my name he finally went public. Instead of saying my NASA contact, he used my name. And Oberg contacted JPL, that's the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, and got in touch with the people there in charge of our solar system ambassador group. And they called me and said that they thought that I needed to resign. And I said, well, wait a minute. I said, don't you have other people that, they said, because, you're telling your own opinion. I said, don't you have people working for you at JPL that have their own opinions? Oh, yeah, sure. I said, and you don't tell them they need to resign? Well, no, but you should. And I said, no, I don't think so. I think you need to fire me. And that's exactly what they did. But the next day I was on the plane with Mr. Hogan. We went to Washington, D.C. to the National Press Club, where we spoke in front of the world press from all the countries, the major countries around the world, in which we put out for the world what really took place during our missions to the moon. And that was right after that. Well, Oberg's the one that got me terminated, you will say, from the Jet Propulsion Laboratory's Solar System Ambassador program.
Wow.
And he hasn't stopped there. He almost got me killed when I was in India in February of this year by calling the director of science for the state of Assam in India. And I'd gone back to India after a big conference here, and it was taking up the mountains to see their agriculture. It's just beautiful, beautiful country there. And at 1 o'clock in the morning, they show up at the resort where they had me, and my escort came into the room and says, Ken said, I don't know what we're going to do. They think that you've lied about who you are and what's going on. And I said, oh, let me guess. It's got to be Mr. Oberg again. And, well, how did you know? I said, well, because he is what's called a shield. He's out there to attack any of us who come forward, not about what we're saying, but who we are, to try to discredit us. And they brought in one of their chief investigators, and he sat down for a couple hours. We went over documents. I proved to him who I was and what was going on. He said, well, yeah, it all looks like it's all here. That sounds good. Okay, let's get your bags. Let's go downstairs. And we went downstairs, and we got in a car and drove for 2 hours down the mountain, heading towards I thought we were going to go to the government building and get it all cleared up. Instead, this is like a James Bond thing here.
Wow.
In the middle, nowhere, at an intersection, a dirt road intersection. My escort had to get out of the car, and the main woman from the science department of the state of Assam got in, standing out here in the middle of nowhere, got in and told the driver to drive to the airport. They got to the airport, they got the chief of security of their airport at Assam, and put me in a private holding room. Now, mind you, all this, my wife has no idea what's happening. She just heard that I was being escorted.
Wow.
And they went and got me a ticket from Assam to New Delhi, and said, leave and don't come back. So I left and got to New Delhi, and I was able to find a ticket, an airline that would get me back to the United States the quickest, which cost me $1,200 out of my pocket.
Wow.
Which before, as a guest there, where I was giving lectures and speeches at the university, they paid for it. So that was kind of a shock. When I finally got the ticket and was on the airplane just before we took off, I called my wife and let her know it was 36 hours that she had no idea where I was. And then so I made it back to the United States fairly safe, and been sitting here for the last, 6-7 months, and answering questions. And now we're putting out another book. Maybe I'll tell the world, if you're not ready to put up with the insanity of the government, don't try to tell the truth about them.
Wow. Wow, that's pretty bewildering. That's amazing that people would go out of the way. Now, is this guy? Now, what's the name of this guy you're talking about that tried to sabotage you in India?
Oh, his name is James Oberg, and if my memory serves me right, he got to NASA at the end of the Apollo, right at the end of the Apollo program. He had an office on the 3rd floor of Building 4, which was the astronauts' building, and I was still with Grumman at the time, and he and I actually would sit down and talk for long times about things. He was a former Air Force officer, and his specialty was the Russian language. He could read and write Russian. He didn't speak it too well, and so he would know which Russian cosmonauts was going to fly on which one of their missions before they ever took off in Russia and made the flights. So I guess he was involved in that, and then later we found out that he was actually a SHIELD working with Dr. Thornton Page, who later we found out was part of CIA's consultants.
That's what I was thinking. I was going to ask you if this guy was in the CIA, this James Oberg. Do you think this guy is in the CIA, James Oberg?
No, well, his boss, his leader, Dr. Thornton Page, we found out that he was, listen, you know, they used to call him $1 a year person, where they call the experts and the scientists and say, by the way, we have this going on, can you answer the questions? So Dr. Page, and Dr. Page, before he died, he came out and literally was saying, oh yeah, that he actually established that group that was out to discredit anyone coming forward with information that the government didn't want out there, or became whistleblowers, for lack of a better term. So, yeah, I suppose I do know this from good sources that he was told to back away and leave me alone because I kept all the documents and I had proof of everything that I say. So, by and large, I think they left me alone. Otherwise, if you hear about that Ken Johnston has been run over by a steam engine over a highway by accidentally falling down in front of it, you know. Yeah, the biggest thing though I've been told is nowadays they're pretty much trying to protect me because if anything happens to me, then there's going to be a whole lot of questions to the governments about what did you do? Did you guys assassinate him too?
So Ken, I'm tuning into this, and I have a strong feeling that this guy James Oberg is in the CIA as well. Believe it or not, and I know.
Well,
go ahead.
There's probably secret connections there, and I know that he has a wine vineyard that has been estimated at way over $300,000, or even $3 million. I forget how much. One of my friends, a very good friend here, and also an author, an artist, and everything, and that's Brett Shepard. He's done a lot of research, and in fact, I don't have to do anything and prove anything anymore because there's so many people out there that have copies of my records and things. And when I started getting attacked by Oberg and them, they simply go online and shoot him down and do it for me.
Right.
And he's pretty well proven the fact that Oberg is still hanging on out there as one of the CIA's or FBI, whoever it is.
Yeah, I hear you.
Secret agencies. Yeah.
So let's go like this, Ken. Let's go ahead and take a little break, a breather, and then we're going to come back and talk to you more about your book. What I want to do is play some music by Jason Rotman from his album Divine Devotion. I want to play a song called I think this is very, very befitting. Mystic Lion, Part 1. I want to play that. I want to send out love, blessings, healings, angels of light and love to you and your family, Ken, to me and my family, to our vehicles, to our places of residence that take care of us, to all the people out there working to be of service to humanity and in the right way, in a good, healthy way. Anyone, of course, let's send out some blessings, love, light, blessings, healings, angels of light and love to the President of the United States and all his entourage. That guy can get all he needs all the help he can get. Anybody you want to add to that, Ken?
No, I have a very strong conviction, and one of my degrees is in theology, and the other one in metaphysical science.
Okay.
And in my opinion, God isn't through with me yet. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here.
All right. There's a good reason you're here talking to us tonight, for sure. I agree with you 100%, Ken. Right. So listen up, love, blessings, healings, angels of light, and love to all the kids and animals and plants on the planet, especially the ones in need and concern, and everyone else in need and concern. We will be back. Mystic Lion, Part 1 by Jason Rotman from his album Divine Devotion, and then we're going to talk to you some more about your book, Ken.
Very good.
Namaste Narasimhaya. Saladala Jaya Hiranyakashipu Shilakanka Nakalaye Ito Nasimo Bharato Nasimo Yato Yamitato Nasimo Barisimo Edae Nasimo Yasim Amadim Salanam Prabhati Savakara Kamalambare Natya Adhuta Shringa Kavita Hiranyakashipu Dhanubringa Keshavatita Narari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Keshavadita Narari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Namaste Narasimhaya Saladala Jaya Hiranyakashipu Shilakanka Nakalaye Ito Nasimo Bharato Nasimo Yato Yamitato Nasimo Barisimo Edae Nasimo Nasim Amadim Salanam Prabhati Savakara Kamalambare Namadhuta Shringa Dalita Hiranyakashipu Dhanubringa Keshavatita Narari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare.
And we are back. This is Andrew Aloha live out of Flagstaff, Arizona with Spiritual Productions on free conference call and YouTube. Establishing and maintaining right relationships with human body. Tonight we're talking with Dr. Ken R. Johnston Sr., all the way out of New Mexico, about his book, Ken's Moon, an autobiography. And so we've learned that Ken grew up in a military family. Is that correct, Dr. Ken?
Well, not exactly. I mean, I was born into a military family. My father was a captain in the Army Air Corps, but when he died during the war, I grew up on a farm, a little town called Hart, H-A-R-T, Texas, of only 560 people. And as I grew up there through
Ken, if you can put your change your miking or something, because you sound fainter now for some reason. But go ahead.
Okay, let me.
Oh, that's better.
Let me see. Okay, very good. So I actually grew up on the farm, a little farm in a town called Hart, Texas, H-A-R-T, and there was only 560 people in that town. Once my little brother, James Charles Johnston, was killed on the school hayride, there was nothing left for me. The stepdad that I had there didn't like me. He loved Jimmy, and but my older brother A.R., he had to go live with grandparents, and I was left there without anyone to protect me, like by the Jimmy side. So I had the opportunity to go to the military school up in Claremore, Oklahoma Military Academy. And that's where my military background began in the ninth grade in high school and up through junior college, and then off in the Marine Corps and then all the way up to and through NASA. So I've been pretty much involved in government since I was born.
Wow. And so you went through you after you got out of the military, you enlisted or got hired by a couple of space companies or aeronautical companies. Is that what I heard you say?
Well, during the well, actually still now, most of the work being done for the government is being done by private contractors, and you have the smaller group of actual government employees that are the ones that are in charge of the different programs, such as the testing of the lunar module in the vacuum chamber, Chamber B, and with Grumman, and the testing of the command module inside the giant Chamber A by at any rate, so we were with independent companies that when their contracts would finish that part of the contract, they would have to lay off most of their employees. They had with Grumman, they had just a small cadre of long-time employees that they kept on. And those of us that had just been with them for 1 through 3 years during that part of the contract, we got laid off. So it wasn't a matter of bad performance or what have you, because I've got great letters of commendation to think from that. But at the end of the contract, they had to let us go. They called it a RIF, reduction in force. So that's whenever I left there. Well, you asked, it wasn't really with directly employees of the government. We were working for the government.
Got it. I hear you. And so now you got laid off twice over by two companies in the same regard, and then you said, well, screw this. I don't want to do this anymore, and I'm assuming you were looking for a more stable income, a stable lifestyle, is what I hear you saying, and so you decided to write the book, and now, but before that, you had these photographs. You were working at this part of what was it called, the
Lunar Receiving Laboratory.
Yeah,
Lunar Receiving Laboratory.
Lunar Receiving Laboratory, and you had these photographs. You were asked to destroy there was 5 sets altogether, and you were asked to destroy 4 of them and keep only 1. So you decided to keep one set and throw away the other 3 sets, and keep another set for the company itself. And at that point so again, reiterate what happened at that point, Ken.
Okay. Let me clear up something real fast.
Okay.
Originally, with the Grumman Company building the lunar module, when we got laid off from there, I went to work for the Lunar Receiving Laboratory and became the director of the Data and Photo Control Department of the Brown and Root Northrop Corporation that was running the Lunar Receiving Laboratory.
Got it.
And then when we got laid off from there, I went to work. Actually, I left the government for about a year and went into a private industry and starting my own business. And then they were looking for astronauts, new astronauts. And I had letters of recommendation to become an astronaut from Neil Armstrong, Jack Schweikert, Jim Irwin, and just lots of them that I'd worked with. And I was pretty much a shoo-in to become one of the regular NASA astronauts because, we'd been doing the job. And I got called into Astronaut Vance Brandt's office, and the day before, they were ready to make the announcement of the new selection of 26 new astronauts. he called me in his office and said, "Al, Ken, I'm really excited about that." And I sat down and he said, "I don't know how to tell you this." He says, "But the government's gotten involved." And I'll ask everybody, you know what happens when the government gets involved? Well, he says, they don't want to have jet jocks. They want to have PhD scientists. You only have 3 bachelor's degrees, and so your name's been dropped from the list. And, you know, when you've been doing the job, in fact, he says, we know you can do the job you've been doing. But then you get dropped off because the government's gotten involved. Part of it, they didn't want it to appear like it was part of the military. And anyone out there that's done much research knows that NASA has been a branch of the federal government's military organization. And that's a fact. So, anyway, that's why I didn't wind up there. I went to work for ILC Corporation on testing the spacesuits and manned maneuvering units like the Buck Rogers rocket pack spacesuit devices for Skylab as well as Space Shuttle. And then to work for Martin Marietta up in Denver and was out in Vandenberg Air Force Base testing the new MX. No, that was for the West Coast launch facility. We were going to be launching space shuttles from the West Coast to Vandenberg Air Force Base. And then we had the fire in the Apollo 1, not Apollo 1, the space shuttle. Anyway, the astronauts died, and that then Mark Marietta was going to lay off the whole crew, and they shut down the Slick Sticks launch facility. And that's when I made my decision to get out of the aerospace and get into the regular industry. And I went to work for the Boeing company in Seattle as a 737 flight instructor. So that's where it got me out of that. But all these years, I kept my personal copy of all the 8x10 pictures and slides, and 70 millimeter Hasselblad camera, positive transparencies. Just a pretty good collection that I saved all these years and kept them in safe. Over the years, I was able to buy document protectors and put each one of them inside of a document protector, and that's protected them from the oxygen in the air. So the majority, I'd say 90+% of my whole archive are inside of document protectors that has kept them from aging much from the oxygen in the atmosphere. And that's why when people, they ask to look at a specific NASA picture, if I have that in my archive and they get to see a digital copy of it, they are amazed at the amount of detail that were there. And then later on, you're going to find that the ones that you can get from JPL or something, you can actually see where we didn't have photoshopping and digital pixels and things to electronically modify pictures and things back then. They had to make a copy and make a transparency and then paint out the stuff they wanted to paint out, put it back to transparent, and make another copy of it in order to hide what they were trying to cover. Well, nowadays they just take a copy and go in digitally, but you can see change in the size of the pixels and all kinds of information stuff. And that's what all these anomaly hunters are doing around the world. When they get pictures from JPL, mostly, they zoom in and enlarge and then take a look and say, what was behind this stuff that they painted in there now? So, I had the originals. I still have the originals and stuff, and it's still valuable to the world.
Wow. So let me ask you this, Ken. Did you ever come across, or actually in person, come across any UFOs or aliens, or see any of them like that, or anything like that?
Well, let's put it this way. We know for a fact that some of the astronauts have come forward about things that they saw that were following Dr. Edgar Mitchell. Even started an organization where they came forward and were able to prove that there is something else out there. Astronaut Buzz Aldrin more recently has come out and talked about the craft or something that had followed them all the way to the moon and back. And as things I've heard in the last few months, there are even more of the astronauts are coming forward saying there are things out there that they cannot identify. They can't say that it isn't an unidentified flying object. So the truth is out there and it's coming out right now. Now, you asked me if I personally, this is where book number 2 is coming out right now, and thanks to Dr. Session, hypnotic regression of myself back into this life and according to that past life. For some reason, I've been kind of contacted and followed through most of my life, and things that happened to me, I've been able to go back into regression and find out. So this next book will be telling the whole world the story, and I'm sure that Paul Bergener is going to say, aha, there's another crazy person that believes that we've had aliens around.
Right.
I think there's enough obvious evidence worldwide to prove that we are not alone. The extraterrestrials have been involved with the existence of Homo sapiens for thousands of years here on this planet. And with my education and background in theology, it's amazing how you can find the connection between the ancient scriptures, and not just the Holy Bible, but the ancient Indian scripts in India and other nationalities around the world, and you can kind of find out pretty much where, if you're a Christian and the Bible, that you find that there's evidence to show that a lot of that information came from earlier contact with angels, perhaps. So, I may have digressed slightly there, but get me back on track.
No, there are. You're absolutely correct. There's a lot of mention of UFOs, literally UFOs in the Bible, angels in the Bible, and probably even aliens is my guess, but I don't recall. But I know that there's been mention of UFOs in the Bible a number of times. I don't know how many times, but at least a handful of scriptures in there mention UFOs. And so I hear what you're saying.
Absolutely.
And so now with that in mind, Ken, are you saying you were abducted, or is that what we're talking about?
Well, I'll give you a little short synopsis of kind of the beginning of part of the next book, and that is, I was in the third grade in Hart, Texas, and this would have been, I'm trying to think, probably around October that year, and that would have been, let's see, 1947. Anyway, we were woken up in the middle of the night, and there was a lot of noise and commotion going on. We had just moved from the farmhouse into the little town of Hart, which was only a block away from the school, which was kindergarten all the way through high school, one building.
Right.
And cars were coming up, and people were, and there was a lot of commotion going on. And in the field behind our house, between where we lived and the big grain elevators, a crowd had landed there, and people were coming up. Lights were shining on, and my mother and myself, and I guess my brothers were with me, one of them. And we went out to see what was going on, and there was a shimmering type electronic curtain going all the way around this saucer type craft. And the door opens, and it looked like perfectly human to me. A person came walking down a ramp, and the majority of everybody else took off. They ran to the cars, they took off, they disappeared real quick. Whenever he pointed out and waved in, and he kind of zeroed in on me, looked at me, pointed at me, and motioned for me to come to him and shoot him. Now, mind you, the kind of public information we had at the time in the movie theaters was the Buck Rogers, Flash Gordon, things like that, and then you had the which one was that? The Blob.
Oh yeah, right.
Anyway, so people panicked, and in my case, I just walked straight towards the thing, and this shimmering curtain type thing opened up like if you had a kind of a waterfall. You put a big boulder, it's part the water to make a way where you can walk inside. That's what it did. And I walked in, and the person there in charge wanted me to go up the ramp. I went up inside the ramp. These people leaning over, watching him come up inside, all started applauding. And it was kind of like they'd been waiting for me to grow up. And part of it. Then, so I, when you say, have I been abducted? I don't know that I was abducted, but I was invited to go with them. And in the book, from the regression, you'll find out all the training and stuff that they took me through over the years, and then put me back into my line, continued growing up from the third grade on up to my life. So they've been involved with my life throughout my whole life to the point of where I say they're not through with me yet. And there have been many times where I could have been killed.
Right.
I survived.
So now, Ken, let me ask you this.
Yes.
Go ahead.
All right.
Okay, let me ask you this. So you see a saucer, is that what I hear you saying? And then the door opens up and there's a ramp and there's a being on this ramp, and is that what I hear you saying?
That is correct. You walk down the ramp and I'm looking out at the people that gathered there looking, and it saw me and motioned for me to come forward. By this time, the people started panicking and taking off leaving. Now, as I said, though, after a lot of training and everything else, I was put back in the same timeline. So when that happened, so that I continued to go up there in the heart and then go off to military school, and the rest of it I've already talked about. So
let's take a step back, because what I hear you saying now, this being, number one, did it look like a normal human being? Number two, how do you know it was a him?
The best way to say is that my first impression is that they were Anunnaki of the ancient Sumerian texts that talk about the Anunnaki that have been involved with our progress on this planet for thousands of years. I didn't recall, because at that age you're small, and all adults are giants, you know.
Okay.
So the fact that it didn't register me so much as to how tall he was when I went up past him up the ramp and into the craft. But then later on, there were events that happened. There was several different species of sentient intelligent beings. There was a very small, probably not over 4 foot tall, a little less, dark skin, very wiry looking hair, woman which our guide and instructor. And they did most of the communications through the mental telepathy. But she had learned to make a certain speech. There was a particular event that took place where there were probably at least 12 of us that were or more kids that were being taken and trained to become solar system ambassadors for them. And I use that term, interesting enough, in my life, all of a sudden I become a solar system ambassador for NASA and the Jet Ocean Laboratory. So how nicely that fit in with
right. So what I hear you saying is that you weren't the only one that went into this craft. There was other kids that went in with you, and they took off with you. They left with you in that craft, and then you went through a whole lifetime of training, and then they brought you back. Is that what I hear you saying?
The other kids and things which I met later on in life were not there at heart. We were being, I guess, picked up at different locations around the world.
Got it.
Those to become solar system ambassadors for intergalactic contact with intelligent beings from other species and other planets. So, this one particular one, she was very, very kind to us. We had gone on an outing to a big giant mothership, and so we were walking in, and one of the interesting things that stuck in my mind that came out during your regression is this. We went into this room where there was a very large vertical type test tube, if you would, with babies in various stages of incubation before they would be able to be born, and we were told that these are future beings that would be able. Later, once we were put back into our timeline, this is where we wind up running into some of the kids that became adults that were back, and one of the interesting things that I've come to deal with, and that is, now my wife was born in Canada, and she had rough times with life and wound up down in the United States and in Seattle working for the Boeing company. I myself went through a lot of challenges and things with the space program and early marriage, and it's all in the book. It's very personal stuff.
Got it.
That we ran into each other as what was called parents without partners, single men and women that like to have a social life. And I went to one of the meetings, and the young lady that was taking our money at the desk says, "Oh, I've got someone I want you to meet."
Right?
Introduced me to this woman by the name of Fran, and we danced a lot during that evening. A month and a half later, the boarding company said, we're going to send you back to Vandenberg because we want you to be the human factors engineer on the Peacekeeper missile system. So I told Fran, I said, I'd love you to be able to go with me, but you couldn't go in the same status we are now. She said, well, if you were asking me to marry you, I'd have to think about it for a little while. I said, well, it's Wednesday, and I get my orders on Monday. She said, okay, for some reason. We put together a nice little formal wedding with 26 of her friends from PWP and my friends from Boeing and her friends from Boeing and her two daughters. And we stood up together with the two daughters and Len and me, and we were married a month and a half after we met each other.
Wow!
And we just celebrated our 33rd year of matrimony.
Congratulations! Amazing. That's amazing.
Oh, here's the big part. And I was in a regression. I was asked when I met Fran, and I went back to when we were on this large craft. We got together somewhere, some kind of a conference somewhere, and I was much younger. I came down to the elevator and opened the door and went into the room where there were a whole bunch of these young people that I'd met and known. And Dr. Lesson asked me, is Fran there? And I'm looking around, and there she was standing at the side, and she was applauding and smiling at me. And so we knew each other both while we were both not abducted, we've been invited, taken along, trained, whatever term you want to use. People use abducted, and it is in a way of where you're not, it's not part of your plan, and
Yeah, it's an intrusion. I hear you.
Against your will. In our case, it was not against our will because it's we were conditioned that this is what we were being put on this planet, this world, and this existence for.
Wow.
That's why I say God isn't with me yet.
Yeah,
so
right.
That kind of answers that. It'll be in the next book.
Yeah. Now, what's the name of your next book? What's that going to be called?
We're doing our best to come up with, and I'm getting hold of Dr. Lesson right now because we're both going to be combined as authors of it.
Oh.
Perspective.
Got it. So you don't have a name. You don't have a name for it yet. You're working. That'll come along further when you're ready. Is that what I hear you saying?
I hope it'll be within the next coming up for Christmas.
Got it. So again, if people want to get a hold of you about that book or this book or other questions, what's the email address that they can use to contact you with?
Well, you told me that KenJohnstonMedia.net doesn't work, and that surprised me because I just checked it a few days ago.
Oh, really?
Be sure it's .net, not .com.
No, I did. Ken Johnston, yep. KenJohnstonMedia.net.
Correct.
Okay, I'm going there right now as we speak, and it's not up. It looks like you might have to pay for the web address. I think that's what's going on. I'm not sure.
Huh. Okay, well I'll have to get Brett Shepard to help me figure that out.
Yeah, I would.
I got about 5,000 business cards with that on there.
Oh, really? Yeah. I would go to GoDaddy or wherever you purchase the web domain at, and I think I would purchase it. I think it's maybe out of date or something like that. I'm not sure. It's hard to say, but it's not up.
Well, we'll get that cleared up as soon as we can, or they can go ahead and contact me directly if they're interested in getting the books. In fact, except for the cost of mailing, I sell them for a little bit less than what Amazon does at $30. I can drop it down to $5. So then I can autograph it and send it back to them. So if they contact me at Mars1astronaut@gmail.com, we can go from there.
Okay. Now, now you wrote this book. Now, let me ask you this, Ken. What is your intentions behind writing this book? What do you want to accomplish with this book?
To put the truth out there, true facts, and also all the documentation of proving that I am who I am, that I did do what I did.
Right.
And I deal with the James Oldberg type people, the shields that go out after. And like I said earlier, I feel a lot safer now that it has been published. There are lots of people out there, and an opportunity like that, if you've got any of the evidence and documents and proof stuff of the secret space program and what's been going on, get it out public as soon as you can, because if you die, it's gone, and it's not what it's. So the fact that, and I was encouraged by Hogan and others that I needed to get the information out to the world so that I am protected. And once it's out there, they can't shoot it down.
Right, right. And so now, go ahead.
That's really the impetus of why I wrote the book. And you can't say it was for the money, because there's not much money.
Right, right. I hear you. I know exactly the feeling. Now let me let you know this, Ken. There's if you got a publisher, somebody that wants to publish your book, then that might be the best route anyhow. But if you don't, there's a website called createspace.com. Have you ever heard of them?
And I'm using them now.
Oh, good. Yeah, because you can at least claim your title there and get an ISBN number for it right away, so no one will steal the title. And then you can upload the rest of the document up to it, and then publish the book on Amazon and also Kindle. And then there's YouTube videos out there that will show you how to do that if you want to do that, which is what I did with my book.
There is something else that I'd like to get out to the public too, because my mother, she and my dad were high school sweethearts, and they were both in school at the Oklahoma University in Norman, Oklahoma, when World War II broke out, and us kids had been born coming along. No, we haven't. Anyway, her mother's maiden name was Davis, and her grandma, her father was descendant of Jefferson Davis, the president of the Confederacy.
Wow.
And stories that I've been told all my life about the great-great-grandpa and those involved in the Civil War, if you will. Mother finally put it all in a book called Please Assassinate My Brother. And it was by Vantage Press. But Vantage Press, didn't even get I forgot what the name of it is. When you get a number for your document.
Oh, ISBN number, yeah.
Yeah, right. They didn't even do that. They put it out with, I'm looking at it right here. They had their own number system. It was called, let's see here, the copyright and published by Vantage Press, and it's called a standard book number. And that's anyway. So it is, and I have some very, very dear friends. You name every nationality, I've got friends of that nationality, and one of them is willing to review the book was written in dialect of the Southern. When you hear someone say, "We're all going to go down yonder and find out what's going on,"
right.
Try to write that in English. Fantastic job, and I am now republishing the book with putting pictures in it and documentation. And
wow.
The problem comes out is that both Abraham Lincoln and Jefferson Davis were half brothers, and that was part of what kindled some of the
really
wound up going. And so
I didn't know that.
I guess the way I'm asking your audience because my wife says, don't touch it, don't put that out because you're putting a target on your back. People are going crazy and destroying all histories and things. Whether the facts it proves that we made progress, and she thinks I would be putting a target on my back, and I'd be attacked, killed.
I don't feel that. I don't feel that at all, Ken. What I would do immediately, even tonight, is go on CreateSpace and claim that title on CreateSpace. Even tonight, you can do that. It takes like less than 5 minutes. Go in there, claim the title, and then you can even upload the cover, the front cover, and the rest of the document on there, and it can be converted to the ISBN system, and then put it on Amazon and put it on Kindle as well right away as well. So I don't think
Yeah, you get time to come. You got time to come and visit with me for about a week.
Right.
Now this mine would be the second edition. This is the first edition that my mother published.
Yeah.
And, yeah, it is going to change the attitude of people nationwide and worldwide. Of course, it does cover the slavery period here in England, and that's history.
Got it.
It's not who we are and where we are now.
Okay. Wow, that's interesting. Interesting information. I haven't heard yet before. Now, believe it or not, go ahead.
Well, I have. So that book I'm working on, and the other one, of course, is Regression and the Extraterrestrial Contact, and the title hasn't even been smoothed out yet. Just as recent as yesterday, we're in contact with Dr. Sessions.
Got it.
And working out, so we're equal authors of it, and probably do better because his thousands of followers and mine as well. So
nice.
It goes with the whole point is you put the truth out there so that I don't have to worry about someone killing you.
Yeah, right. And you know, believe it or not, I've been invited to join the CIA and also the Mafia, and I don't know what other groups out there, but I've actually been invited to join those groups, and I said no. And I told the CIA, literally, I told them, I said, you know, I'll support you in whatever efforts you're doing, whatever you're working on, so as long as it's in the form of right, healthy relationships. Otherwise, you know, that's as far as it goes for me. So, and literally the next day, and I had a telepathic rapport, communication with a CIA operative here in Flagstaff, literally. This was years ago, several years ago, and literally the next day, unbeknownst to me, they were hiring CIA operatives on campus here at Northern Arizona University. I kid you not. So it was pretty bewildering, and you know, because you gotta you know, look at yourself, and is this really true or not? And I've had enough confirmations with my telepathic rapport that I'm pretty sure that it's reasonably accurate, and that was one of them right there. You know, like I said, literally I was in my van. I was just hanging out, and this CIA operative all of a sudden starts talking to me via telepathy, and he goes, "Hey, we want you to join the CIA." I say, "Well," and then that's when I told him, "Only under the guise of right, healthy relationships." And literally the next day they were hiring CIA operatives, which I didn't even. I happened just to go by the scope for whatever reason, and I seen their banner. They had a banner or something up there, and I said, "Wow." I guess I really was talking to this guy, so it was like that.
I'm sure you think a lot like me. I love my country, and I fought for my country, but I don't like what is happening.
Yeah, there's a lot of change that needs to be made for good, healthy relations, and that's what my company's all about: right, healthy relationships. And this country.
When I get in trouble, I said I'd like to see our country made great again.
Yeah, well. Yeah, you know, I don't think it's a bad country. I think it's got improvement, just like every other country on this planet. We need to catch up with our higher selves, you know, and not just our egos. And that's what's happening. There's a lot of ego crap going on out there, and we don't need that anymore. We need to grow up and start living a healthy, divine lifestyle. And I don't think there's nothing wrong with that. And I think it can be done. It just people just need to be want to make that commitment, and not enough people want to make that commitment. They're all about getting drunk. You know, I drove for Uber and Lyft for about 2 years, and that was their whole storyline. That was their whole lifestyle. Let's go get drunk. Oh, okay, yeah, that I really want. I'll take you there, but that's you know, my lifestyle is just not like that. It's just not like that at all. So. Anyhow, Ken, is there anything else that you're going to be doing anytime soon that people want to know about or should know about, other than your new book?
Oh well, and I'm sorry I don't have it in front of me right now. I think that memory block I'm having. Contact in the Desert. I'll be speaking there coming up.
Okay.
We'll see if we can't get some information to you.
And that's
been a real pleasure, you know.
Is that in February? Oh, whoa, wait, I take it back. That's over in Joshua Tree, isn't it?
That's correct.
Okay.
Coming up here real fast.
Okay. I don't know when that's going to be, but I'm assuming it's going to be springtime next year. So I don't remember when that is. So.
No, well, there's something happening. I don't have it here for the time, but we'll try to get the information out.
And there's also UFO Congress in February in Scottsdale. Are you speaking there as well?
I spoke there in February, and I'm trying to think who else asked. I don't know if they've asked me to come back or not. They did say that both Brett Shepard and I were the anchormen of the whole program.
Oh, nice.
Best presentation there. So it all depends on how badly they're controlled by the CIA as to what information they want.
Right.
That is what has happened. That's what has happened.
Wow.
I'll be sure. Now, if they go to my website, just simply Ken Johnston, and let's see, how do we have that listed here?
Yeah, www.kenjohnstonmedia.net. And you're saying you're gonna activate that again, and that's gonna be up and going. Is that what I hear you saying?
But not only that, but go to my Facebook, which is just www.facebook.com/ken.johnston.3158.
3158. Okay.
You've got everything in the world you'd want to know about what we're doing and what I've been doing and my whole history, my spacecraft pilots, logbooks, all the records and documents. They can't prove it didn't happen because it's all out there.
Got it. Okay. Well, I want to thank you very much, Ken, for taking time to talk to us, and I hope your wife is okay with all that stuff going on with that accident and so forth. And again, touch base with us again, and we'll see about bringing you back when you get your next book out, and we'll put it out there as well.
It would certainly be my pleasure, and thank you very much. That's been an honor.
I want to thank all of you for stopping by. Have a Goddess week, and I think Thanksgiving isn't this week, is it? It's next week, right?
Is it contact in the desert?
No, Thanksgiving.
Oh, Thanksgiving, yeah.
Is it this week or next week?
Thursday.
Next Thursday, right?
Hey, I'm so focused on the books, I let my wife worry about that.
Yeah. Anyhow, well, if you don't touch base with us, then have a nice Thanksgiving. All of you have a Goddess week. Be the love that you are, always have been, and always will be. Aloha.